together. Actually, we have, of course, presentations about our activities, but we also organize during each directors meeting workshops for the community members, for them to learn about our practices, to learn good practices, and also to exchange their views on issues that they may encounter when they receive documents or publications, serial publications for identification. These meetings last 1 week approximately. Of course, this ISSN community extends to Africa and to other continents, but Africa plays a key role in the ISSN community. We have 17 member countries. You can see the list on the screen, from Algeria to Tunisia. And these national centers ensure local knowledge informs our global data and services, and that also African publications are identified and recorded in the ISSN database. They also provide information on what ISSN stands for, what it is, why it's necessary for the identification of publications, etc. So these are our, let's say, our partners and collaborators in Africa. And this professional community is growing. Over the last decade, our network has grown from 88 to 96 member countries. And as you can see, Austria, Panama, Peru, Russia, and Ukraine joined the network between 2015 and 2021. And recently, more recently, last year, the United Arab Emirates, Mongolia, and the Sultanate of Oman joined the network. And this expansion actually illustrates the global need for persistent identifiers in scholarly and cultural communication, and also the trust countries' place in the ISSN system. And one of the highlights of 2024 was the formalization of our collaboration with the Sultanate of Oman. We signed the working agreement with the representative of the Sultanate of Oman during the directors meeting in Tunisia. And this agreement signifies how nations are increasingly recognizing the ISSN as a critical infrastructure element in the digital age. So just for you to know, actually, we signed this agreement last year, and we are in the process of delivering some training to our colleagues in the Sultanate of Oman so that they are able to open a national center before the end of this year. Same thing with the Sultanate of Oman, with the United Arab Emirates. So we have had different training sessions with them and exchanges, discussions on the metadata production and the identification of serial publications. And as far as our colleagues in Mongolia are concerned, same thing, we're in the process of delivering training to the team in Ulaanbaatar. And this year, actually, we proudly marked the 50th anniversary of the ISSN International Center. And we've launched a dedicated website. You can see, you will get the address on the last slide. You can explore our history, of course, the history of the ISSN International Center, but also the history of the national centers, their plans, and you can also register for our anniversary conference, which will take place on the 9th of October, on October the 9th, 2025. And the conference will be broadcast live on the National Library of France YouTube channel. So you will get more information later on in September, before this event takes place. And the conference will actually tackle some issues on the identification and preservation of cultural and scholarly publications. You can find the provisional program of the conference on the website. And of course, we are not just celebrating longevity, because of course 50 years is quite an impressive time or lapse of time for any organization. We are also emphasizing relevance and impact. And as you can see, also the fact that we have some new members, some new countries joining, shows that we are a dynamic organization. And we thank all the countries, all the members, all our colleagues who trust the ISSN International Center and its network and want to participate in our common goals and common endeavor. So what is important to understand is that ISSN sits at a strategic intersection, because it connects content creators, publishers, researchers with content curators, libraries or research departments. In 2024 alone, here at the ISSN International Center, we processed over 3,000 ISSN requests from publishers, and nearly 6,700 publishers are now registered on our portal, using the ISSN actually as the foundation of their metadata and visibility. We work with these publishers because in the country where they operate, they don't have a national center. So we serve publishers operating in countries that do not have any national center. And of course, our 96 national centers deal with the publishers operating on their own territory. So this is how we work within the network. And the ISSN International Center in a way replaces a national center in some countries, because there's no national center there. The other community we serve is the community of international organizations. So big international organizations that you know, of course, like UNESCO, OECD, FAO, etc. So they turn to us to identify their print and online publications. And as you can see here, all the continents are represented: Asia and Pacific, Africa, Europe and North America. So actually we serve publishers on all continents, in countries where there is no national center. And we deal with publishers' requests, of course, but on the other side, the majority of our portal subscribers are academic libraries. We rely on ISSN for discovery, for cataloging, for acquisition. And you can see here that the portal that we provide, where you can find ISSN data, so the address you will see it a bit later, is used also by people, by colleagues, by authors, by researchers, by librarians from all continents, Asia and I mean our users from Asia being the most active, and then come users from Europe, etc., etc. And as you can see, users in Africa represent 4.7% of our portal's users. So what is important now is to understand which publications are eligible to ISSN. And it's important to understand that ISSN aren't just for journals. Maybe you know that we actually use, or we work under the guidance or the supervision of ISO, the International Standard Organization. And the standard that governs ISSN is ISO 3297. And the latest version of this standard was approved in 2022, so a few years ago. Actually, we conducted the review of the standard with members of our network and with publishers, with partners under the auspices of ISO. And we reviewed the content of the standard and expanded the coverage or the scope of the standard. ISSN aren't just for journals. They cover a wide range of continuing resources, and they do that regardless of access model. It means whether the publication is open access or not. The publishing status, whether the publication is still current or has ceased, or the medium. So, for example, the continuing resources that we identify as a network include annual or periodic reports, but also blogs, conference proceedings, journals, of course, magazines, monographic series, newspapers, periodicals, podcasts. And this is new. We added podcasts and blogs in the latest version of the standard. And ongoing integrating resources that are updated, such as databases, of course, directories, institutional repositories, loose leaf publications, and updating websites. So these resources can be past, present, or to be produced. And this is the reason why there is a difference between the confirmed ISSN and the provisional ISSN, because we, as a network, can identify some publications that are going to be published. But in this case, we only assign a provisional ISSN. When the publication is published for real, we get some more information from the publisher to finalize the metadata and turn the provisional record, the provisional ISSN, into a confirmed ISSN. Why do we identify past publication? This occurs usually when there is a digitization program. In this case, some publications that predated or that were published before the creation of the ISSN. Usually these publications, when they are digitized, because they are free of rights, free of copyright, etc., they don't have any ISSN, but ISSN is assigned when they are digitized. So this is the reason why we deal, or the scope of the ISSN assignment covers past, present, or to be published or to be produced in the foreseeable future publications. So why get an ISSN? For one, it offers a unique identification and curated metadata. I've mentioned the fact that as a network, we have a production tool, a new one that we launched 4 years ago, which is used by our national centers to actually create or modify, amend metadata. And through this tool, which is called ISSN Plus, all national centers have access to a dashboard with errors that need to be corrected. So for example, we may have some URLs, some links to the publication when it is online that do not resolve to the publication. So our tool actually detects these URLs, and our national centers actually address these errors and correct these errors because they need to find the new URL where this publication is available. We offer interoperability with other persistent identifiers. So for example, title DOIs. We work actually with our colleagues at Crossref to retrieve some data for all the titles that we have that also have DOIs. And it's important, for example, for open access publications, but I will come to that afterwards. Same thing with ISSNs. Our national centers work with ISSNs, which are identifiers for organizations and for researchers or authors, creators in general. And we use ISSNs in the ISSN database for organizations. And as you may know, we also interoperate with ISBN because for book series, a book series can receive an ISSN, should have an ISSN, because it's easier to identify a book series through its ISSN. But of course, each monograph published under this book series receives an ISBN. So we also interoperate with ISBN. And so we have some plans to add more interoperability, especially with Wikidata ID. And at the moment, we have a project going on to identify unambiguously publishers in the ISSN database. So we're working with data coming from other databases or from partners, such as OpenAlex, for example, and Wikidata. So our idea is to retrieve as much information as possible on the publisher, and to create an access point, a controlled access point for publishers in the ISSN database. I've mentioned also our professional community. It spans all continents. It's coordinated by the ISSN International Center here in Paris, which is an intergovernmental organization. And it means that actually when a member country, when a country joins and becomes a member country, they have a say, they have their say on the policy, the strategic plans of the ISSN International Center and the community it serves. This is the reason why I've mentioned already the directors meeting, that we meet our national centers once a year in Tunisia. And this year it will be in Paris because of the 50th anniversary. And next year we don't know yet, but we hope we get an invitation from one of our members. And also it means that every 2 years we have a General Assembly of member countries, which takes place online. And we have a discussion on the strategic plan. And there is a report, of course, on the activities of the ISSN International Center. So we are very eager to develop this community and to also share information with our members, because we need their feedback, of course. With the ISSN, of course, ISSN allows indexation in global databases. In these databases, such as DOAJ, Scopus, Web of Science, in Crossref, the first step to get indexed is to get an ISSN. So through national centers or through the ISSN International Center, as I've explained just before. And it means that ISSN opens doors for visibility and credibility in global platforms. Beyond the identifiers themselves, the ISSN supports a range of services. So I've mentioned the portal, which is portal.issn.org. On this portal that implements a freemium model, you can have access without being a subscriber to part of the metadata, to part of the data, to a subset of the data. And if you're a subscriber, you can have access to all the data. In the open data, you only have access to the confirmed ISSN. When you're a subscriber, you have access to the confirmed ISSN and to the provisional ones. It's a bit different with ROAD. So ROAD is the directory of open access resources. We have nearly 60,000 resources which are indexed in ROAD. For these resources, which are published open access, the data, all the data is made available for free. So you can download this data. You have access to all the data. And so that's where you can find information on the open access resources that are identified by our national centers. And this service was created in 2013. So a few years ago, and we are still, of course, developing it and working with our partners such as DOAJ, such as Latindex in Latin America. They actually reuse our data for their own purposes, and they have access to the complete register also for their own activities. Another tool that we implemented is transfer. So it's based on a code of practice that is managed by NISO in the US. This code of practice is defined for publishers, serial publishers for continuing publications, who actually commit to inform the community at large when titles are transferred from one publisher to the other. So if you look for this service, it's a free service, so you have access to information on the titles which are transferred between these publishers online. So you can also follow these or register to get regular information about titles which are transferred. Another service which is free is Keepers Registry, so the big orange K on the left-hand side. Keepers Registry was created by the ISSN International Center and JISC in the UK, but since 2019, it's a service of the ISSN portal. And when you look for titles in the ISSN portal, you can get some information on whether this title is preserved by one of the 20 agencies which are partners in this service. These agencies, such as, for example, Rede Cariniana in Brazil, CLOCS in the US, the National Library of France in France, the National Library of Spain, they actually share data about their digital preservation policies or plans when they have a continuing publication which is actually preserved in their digital stores, let's say. They share this metadata with us and we publish it on the portal. And we also have some metrics on for example, the percentage of publications in a given country that are preserved for the long term by these agencies. So of course, for the time being, we only have 20 agencies participating, and we don't have any agency in Africa participating in this program. So I'm just, calling for it's a call for interest. If you know some organizations, cultural, scientific organizations which actually have such plans to preserve digital resources for the long term. On the long term, this is something I would be interested to know. I would like to share also information on Keepers Registry with them. Another service that we offer is Submit, Retrieve, Reuse. Through this service, you can submit a list of ISSN or a list of titles, and you get some data in exchange, or complementary data about whether this title is open access or not, or whether it is archived or not, with the list of archiving agencies that actually preserve this title. So for more information, you can have a look at these websites. I've already mentioned the 50th anniversary, so there's a specific website detailing or sharing information about our national centers, and also the program of the conference that will take place on the 9th, on October the 9th this year. You can learn more about the ISSN International Center and its network by browsing the annual activity reports. We have some summaries of our activity reports. It's a 2-page long document that's easy to read and informative. We have professional presentations on Zenodo. We are on the social media, and of course the portal. I thought you would find here the address of the portal. It's not there. That's my mistake. So it's portal.issn.org. It's easy, portal.issn.org, and there you can find information and all our metadata for confirmed, all our ISSN and the metadata for confirmed ISSN and provisional ISSN. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to hearing your questions and thoughts. And the ISSN is here to support your work in scholarly communication, whether you're publishing, curating, or researching. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bequet. That was amazing. As always, the ISSN is a fundamental underpinning of our whole ecosystem, and we take it almost for granted. Everybody is so reliant on it. Can you tell me, I have 2 questions before everybody else gets a chance, sorry. What are the costs involved in getting an ISSN or an EISSN?
So at the ISSN International Center, we have 4 levels of prices, depending on the gross national product of the country. So, for example, when we deal with publishers from Cuba or based in Cuba, they don't pay for the service. When we deal with publishers that are also international organizations or publishers from, rich countries, let's say, that may come to us, of course, in this case, the price is a bit more than 50 euros per ISSN and ISSNL, because as you may know, actually, we have an ISSN for the print publication and an ISSN for the digital publication. So what we call PISSN and EISSN. When a publisher requests an ISSN, we suppose that if it's for the print, they will soon release or publish a digital version, and it can happen. The opposite can also occur, that they have the digital publication and they start also creating or producing a print. So we sell a package, let's say, and of course, for big publishers, they can ask for a larger package for, I don't know, 50 ISSN, for example. And so it costs less. And so we try to be fair in the way we deal with publishers. As for national centers, they are hosted by specific organizations. So, for example, in Senegal, our colleague Ngone Sarr, works for the archives in Senegal. So it's their own policy that they have to develop in this case. So we don't have a say in their policy. They can offer it for free. That's a choice. They have also the possibility to charge for ISSN assignments. But of course, it's important because that's also something that ISO imposes on us. It must be the price should only be, let's say, informed by cost recovery. It means that you need to explain. I mean, when the national center start charging or charges, it should be only to cover the cost of, let's say, the staff there, the computer, the equipment, etc. And there should not be a profit made on ISSN assignments. And another recommendation also, or from ISO, is that the assignment of the identifier should be fair. You should not. You have to be aware that you need not to discriminate any publisher, compared to other, or you have to deal with all the requests in a fair way, and so not discriminate any user.
Right, thank you. Because I get that question a great deal, and it's very nice to have it answered in the public forum. Another question from Moira Levy, who doesn't see South Africa in the list of African countries registered with the ISSNs. I am going to unmute Moira so that she can ask this question. Beta, can you unmute Moira Levy, please? Sorry, Ms. Levy.
I can't unmute anybody.
Right, okay. Oh, yeah, peeps. Right, sorry. Let me just navigate back to the questions queue. Right, and we had the same question about Rwanda. Is there any thoughts on that situation?
Yes, well, South Africa, we've been in touch with the National Library there a few times. Of course, we cannot force a country to become member. They need to find, their own interest in joining. So we've had some conversations in the past. We would be happy, of course, to have them on board. South Africa, Rwanda, more African countries. This is also important to us to, have more diversity within the network, also to serve African publishers. So I would say, it's up to the to the country. It's up to the government, to the organizations there. So in the network, we have, for example, we have national libraries, but we have also national research organizations. For example, in Latin America, our members, or the organization that hosts national centers, are research organization, such as IBICT in Brazil, or CONICET in Argentina. They are not national libraries. So that's one option. A recent option also is to have federations of publishers joining. So that's the case, for example, in Austria. The Federation of Austrian Publishers is a member, and they deliver ISBN, ISSN, and maybe other identifiers, because they see that as their mission. So we are happy to discuss with any organization which is actually recommended by its government, by the government, because the first step in the process is to go through UNESCO here in Paris. And for a country to join, it's a diplomatic process to start with. So, for example, in South Africa, if there is a willingness to join the network, an organization should make contact with the government, discuss with the government, explain the rationale behind this this move, and then the government, in a way, would endorse an organization that and send a letter to UNESCO saying we would like to join the ISSN network, and this organization will host the national center, and then UNESCO sends its response. And of course, afterwards, we deal with the organization directly once this process has been completed.
This is no small task, and Maura, yes, we need to go and lean on the National Library. From Amara Sunet, is it mandatory to have a national ISSN and publication centers in order to have the ISSN?
No, because you can go through the ISSN International Center in Paris. When you know, for the identification of your publications, and you don't have access, or there's no national center, you can come to us. So in this case, you actually go to our portal, and we have a specific, let's say, section of the portal where you state that you are a publisher and that you want an ISSN, and then you go through the process. And as I've explained, we have a 4-level pricing policy. So this depends on the GNP, and this you can check on the World Bank website. We follow the World Bank classification or ranking regarding GNPs.
AJOL uses precisely the same one, so this should be familiar to our editors. Awesome. Next question from Peters Oladosu. How can we register for an EISSN? Yes, this is a question very dear to many of our editors' hearts, because AJOL's been working on this lately. So how to register?
Well, you know, when you register, it's not an EISSN. Well, usually through the ISSN International Center, you register for 2 ISSN. Okay, you will have a print if you have a print publication, or the digital. I mean, the EISSN if your publication is digital. And it's the same ISSN. I mean, it's not the same ISSN, but I mean, it's the same identifier. It's not the same numbers, of course, but it's not different. It's just that there's an ISSN which is given or assigned to the digital publication, and there's another one which looks very similar, except of course the numbers are not the same, which is assigned to the print. And then what we do at the in the database is actually we link these 2 ISSN, the E and the P. It's what we call the ISSN-L, which is the linking ISSN, because we want to keep this information, this piece of information, which is that these 2 titles are linked when there is a print version and a digital version. But you know, when you look at an ISSN for a digital publication, it's exactly the same. And all national centers can assign an ISSN to an EISSN. It's not different. The metadata is different. It's in the metadata that actually you qualify the resource, saying this resource is what we call computer remote in our parlance, or print or text. So the ISSN itself is not, you know, there's nothing special, but of course the metadata is different. And usually when you go to the portal, if you want to, you will see some titles which are qualified in brackets with the term online. It means that it's a digital publication. Otherwise, you may have print, but sometimes you don't have anything, because it means the title was created first of all as a print version, as a print publication, and then it went online. And so we gave the online publication another ISSN, and we added online. We took the same title because it's the same title, but we added online as a qualifier. We can't hear you, Gaelle. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. We have several more questions. if let's see here. Sorry. Another question from Amare: why is the participation from Africa so low? What do you think we can do to offset this? What can be done for this matter?
Well, I guess that of course the ISS International Center and the network was created here in Europe with strong support from the US, from Canada. So so I guess that's I mean, Europe is let's say the global north, in the birthplace of ISSN. So I guess this is one reason why maybe other continents, not just Africa, may not have been so much involved in the past. But it's changing. For example, in Latin America, we have more countries. I mentioned Panama, Peru, and we are doing a lot here at the ISSN IC. We want to expand the network and also have more diversity. We understand also that our colleagues in African countries, the publishers, the librarians, etc., face a very different reality from the one we have here in Europe. Or for example, I remember 2 years ago, we had our directors meeting in Brussels, in Belgium. And we invited, because we've set up a program of grants for colleagues who cannot afford traveling to Europe because, you know, it's expensive, etc., etc. And so we had our colleague from Nepal who came and attended this meeting in Brussels, and he told us, because he gave a presentation about ISSN in Nepal, that in Nepal they had only 4-hour electricity during the day, and the internet connection was really bad. And so it's you know, you need to learn also directly from your colleagues. So it's important to understand what is their context, what is the environment. We know it's not easy for some, you know, colleagues who are eager to, of course, produce publications, publish articles, work in libraries, and provide information to researchers. Sometimes they have some very material hindrances. So maybe that's also a reason why, you know, our colleagues are already faced with a lot of difficulties. So ISSN and the identification of publications is, I would say, maybe a bit like, or may sound or may look like the cherry on the cake, because you have other issues to address first. So I guess it's important to understand that, you know, our colleagues work in different settings, and we are here to help. So I mentioned the training, I mentioned the tool, the production tool, ISSN Plus. It is open to all national centers. We have national centers in big organizations. Of course, they have their own databases, they have the means, the technical means, the human resources to actually handle all the identification for their publishers. And we know other countries don't have the same means. So this is the reason why this production tool since 2020 is open to these national centers that have, you know, that don't have the sufficient means to add their own production tool. So it's open. They have their accounts. They create their account. We create accounts for them in the production tool, and they do the work. They do their work in this tool. So that's I think it's important to provide this facility to the network.
Excellent. Also, okay, last call for questions. We still have 2, and they're both long ones. I have a question from Nada of Atras Journal of Algeria, asking about what criteria does Keeper use to index journals?
So
that is an organization. separate to ISSN. Yes.
Yes, Keepers Registry is a service. It's part of our portal, and we work, but we don't. Yeah, that's a confusion we need to to talk about, because we don't provide services for digital preservation. We don't have the resources to do that. So we don't store digital publications and preserve them. We work with archiving agencies, and I've mentioned a few, like Internet Archive, for example, or clocks, or some national libraries, the Library of Congress, and they have a digital preservation program, each of them. And so when you are a publisher, when you publish a journal or a newspaper or magazine, you can turn to these agencies and get your publication preserved. And then this agency will share data with us, with the ISSN International Center, and we put that in the portal. But we don't actively preserve ourselves. There is a project led by DOAJ, which is called Jasper, and the journals which are indexed in DOAJ can benefit from this project. So I don't know whether your journal is indexed, but there is a way to, at a very low cost, to have your journal preserved through DOAJ and through Jasper.
Right. That was a magnificent clarification.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Okay. Professor Lagidere from the Portologos Press says, congratulations to the ISSN on your 50th anniversary celebration, the great work of holding up the standards. He would like to know, publishers from some developing countries have problems paying for the ISSN services because of the limited range of options available for payment. Is there a way for the ISSN to include multiple payment options beyond PayPal and bank cards?
Yeah. Well, we have PaySafe also. We use PayPal, we use PaySafe, and wire transfers. Well, thank you for this remark. We've not yet explored cryptocurrency, but maybe that's something we need to do. We are open to suggestions, because we don't know. Of course, we don't know all the services that can be used. If there are trusted services that you use in certain countries in Africa, please just mention them to us. You know, that would be really helpful, because I understand that's a difficulty. That's true.
Yeah, localization is often a challenge. I think that is our last question, in which case I will take the opportunity to say thank you very, very much for joining us today and for this very interesting and very detailed webinar. And I think I speak for all of us. And when I say you've illuminated many, many things. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Kylie. Thank you very much. And thank you to all participants. That was a pleasure.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. This concludes our first webinar. Thank you for joining us, and join us again in July. The topic will be determined and publicized well in time. Thank you so much. I am now going to end